The marketplace was crowded with voices, sound of metal cages, and the smell of dust mixed with strange food. Traders shouted loudly, trying to sell their goods. Some offered glowing stones, some offered rare machines, and some offered living beings. Humans were rare in this place, but one man walked alone through the noise. His name was Daniel. He had no family and no close friends. Many called him lonely, but he never argued. Daniel stopped when he saw a small figure in the corner of the slave line. The figure was sitting on the ground, hands tied, a dirty sack covering her head. She looked thinner than the others. Her knees were pressed to her chest, as if she wanted to hide from the whole world. The trader shouted at customers, 3 credits. Just 3, cheap. Take her away if you want. Nobody cared. People laughed, saying she was weak, useless, not even worth food. But Daniel did not laugh. He kept staring at her. Something about her silence caught his attention. She did not scream like the others. She did not beg. She only sat there still, as if waiting for the end. The trader noticed Daniel's interest and called out again. Human, you want this one? 3 credits. She eats little, works little, but maybe she will clean your floor. Or maybe she will die in a week. Who cares? The crowd laughed again. Daniel did not smile. He reached into his pocket and pulled out 3 small coins. The metal made a sharp sound when it hit the trader's table. Mine, Daniel said simply. The trader blinked, surprised. You really want her? Daniel nodded. The trader shrugged and untied the girl. The crowd whispered and laughed harder. He bought trash, someone said. A human paying money for that? What a fool. But Daniel ignored them all. The girl did not look up. Her thin arms shook as she stood. The trader pushed her forward. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder gently, guiding her out of the crowd. She moved slowly, still hiding under the sack. Daniel noticed her steps were unsteady, as if she had not walked freely in a long time. As they reached the quiet street, Daniel asked softly, Do you have a name? The girl did not answer. He tried again, but silence stayed. Only her breathing was heard under the sack. He wanted to remove it, but she turned her head away sharply, protecting her face. Something inside Daniel told him not to force it. The night was darker when they reached his small home. It was built from stone and old metal, standing alone on the edge of the colony. Daniel opened the door and guided her inside. The room was simple: 1 bed, 1 table, and shelves filled with tools. He placed food on the table: bread, water, and a small bowl of stew. She stood still, not moving. You can eat, Daniel said calmly. Slowly, with trembling hands, she reached for the bread. She tore off a small piece and held it close, as if afraid it would be taken away. She ate in silence, eyes hidden, movements quick and secretive. Daniel watched, feeling a strange ache in his chest. Whoever she was, life had not been kind to her. When she finished, Daniel brought a blanket. You can sleep, he said, pointing to the corner where he placed a mat. She lay down carefully, still hiding her face. Within moments, her breathing grew softer. Daniel stood there, watching her sleep. He whispered to himself, 3 credits. And I don't even know what I bought. But deep inside, he felt it was not a mistake. Something about the girl was different. Something the crowd could not see. And as the wind outside howled through the metal streets, Daniel realized he might have just stepped into the strangest chapter of his life. The sack still covered her head, hiding the truth of who she really was. And Daniel knew one thing. When he finally saw her face, his life would never be the same again. The morning sun slipped through the broken shutters of Daniel's house. He woke early, his back aching from the chair where he had slept. His eyes moved to the corner of the room where the girl lay under the blanket. She had not moved much during the night. The sack still covered her head. Daniel wondered if she even slept well or if fear kept her. Awake, he boiled water and placed another small piece of bread on the table. The smell of steam filled the small home. Finally, the girl stirred. Her body shifted slowly, and she sat up with her knees close to her chest. Daniel spoke gently. "There's food. You can eat." She did not answer, but after a pause, she walked to the table. Her steps were light, almost noiseless, as if she wanted to disappear into the air. She picked up the bread and ate carefully. Daniel noticed her hands. They were thin, marked with faint scars that crossed her skin like threads. Whoever had kept her before had not treated her kindly. He poured her a cup of water. She froze, staring at the cup, unsure if it was safe. Daniel lifted his own and drank in front of her. Only then did she take hers. For a long time, she drank as if she had not touched clean water for weeks. Daniel leaned forward. "I need to know your name." Still nothing. The sack hid everything, her face, her eyes, her expression. He sighed and tried again. "I won't hurt you. You're safe here. But if I call you, I need to know what to say." Finally, a whisper escaped. It was so soft he almost missed it. "Lyra," the word hung in the air. Daniel repeated it carefully. "Lyra." The girl flinched at the sound, like she had not heard her name spoken kindly in a long time. For a brief second, Daniel thought he saw her shoulders relax. He smiled faintly. "Then Lyra it is." That day, Daniel showed her around the small house. It wasn't much. One workshop room where he fixed old machines for the colony, one tiny kitchen, and the corner that served as his sleeping area. She followed quietly, her head still hidden. When he stepped outside to the yard, she froze at the doorway. The open sky seemed to scare her. Daniel looked back. "It's all right. No one will harm you here." Slowly, step by step, she came out. The light touched the sack, and for a moment he thought she might lift it. But instead, she pulled it tighter. Something inside her wanted to remain hidden. As days passed, Daniel noticed small changes. She began to help with simple things, placing tools back in order or carrying small parts to the table. She never spoke more than a few words, but she listened. When Daniel worked, he sometimes talked aloud, explaining what he was fixing. He wasn't sure if she cared, yet she always stayed close. One evening, as he repaired a broken lamp, he noticed her standing near the window. Her hand touched the glass softly, as if she longed for something beyond it. Daniel wondered what her past held. Why was she sold for only 3 credits? Why did she hide her face? Questions circled in his mind, but he never pressed her. That night, while he was cleaning tools, he heard a soft sound. It wasn't from the wind or the house, it was from her. A faint hum, like a melody. She was sitting in the corner, holding the blanket, humming to herself. Her voice was fragile, but carried strange beauty. Daniel stopped working and listened. She noticed and instantly grew silent, turning away in shame. Daniel spoke softly. "It's beautiful. Don't stop because of me." But she didn't answer. When he lay down to sleep, he whispered again to himself, 3 credits. And she may be worth more than all the stars. He closed his eyes, but sleep did not come quickly. Something was growing between them, something fragile and unspoken, and deep inside, Daniel knew this was only the beginning. The sack still covered her head, and the secret beneath it was waiting like a storm that could change both of their lives forever. Days turned into a week, and Daniel slowly adjusted to life with Lyra. She spoke rarely, only answering when he asked simple questions. She ate little, worked quietly, and stayed near him like a shadow. Yet, the sack never came off. Every time Daniel thought of asking her to remove it, something in her body language stopped him. She would stiffen, clutch the fabric tighter, as if revealing her face would bring disaster. He decided to wait, though his curiosity grew stronger each day. The neighbors began whispering. "The lonely human bought a broken alien," one said with a laugh. "He paid 3 credits for a ghost." Another added, "Maybe he lost his mind." Why hide her face? Maybe she's cursed. The words reached Daniel's ears, but he ignored them. He did not care what they thought. Still, he could not deny the questions burning inside him. One evening, a storm swept through the colony. The sky cracked with thunder, and rain pounded the metal roofs. Daniel secured the shutters and brought extra blankets. The wind rattled the house, and the lights flickered. Lyra sat in the corner, holding her knees. She trembled at each clap of thunder. Daniel knelt beside her. "You're safe. Nothing will hurt you here." She didn't answer, but when lightning lit the room, he saw her hand shake violently as she gripped the sack. He realized then this sack was not just hiding her face. It was her shield. Something in her past made her believe she could not survive without it. The storm grew worse. The roof leaked, dripping water into the kitchen. Daniel rushed to fix it, climbing up with tools. As he worked, he glanced through the window and saw Lyra standing near the door. For the first time, she reached for the sack, her hands trembling as she tugged it upward. His heart raced. Would she finally show herself? But a loud crash outside startled her. A tree fell against the yard wall, and she dropped the sack back down. Daniel cursed under his breath. The moment was gone. He finished quickly and came back inside. She had curled under the blanket, hiding from the storm and from him. Later that night, when the storm calmed, Daniel gave her a cup of warm tea. She held it with both hands and sipped slowly. Her voice, barely a whisper, broke the silence. "Why did you buy me?" Daniel blinked. It was the first time she asked a real question. He answered honestly, "Because everyone looked at you like you were nothing. But I saw someone who needed a chance. I don't know who you are, Lyra. I don't know your story. But I know you didn't deserve to sit there like trash." She lowered her head. "You don't understand. If you knew, you would send me back." Daniel leaned closer, his tone firm. "No, whatever is under that sack, it doesn't change the fact that you're here now. You're not going back." Her breath quickened. For a second, her fingers twitched at the edge of the sack again. Then she whispered, "It's not safe for you." He wanted to ask more, but she shut down, curling into herself. Daniel sat there, staring at the girl who carried a mystery on her shoulders. He realized patience was his only weapon. Forcing her would only break the fragile trust forming between them. That night, he dreamed of eyes glowing in the dark, of voices warning him to stay away, of a face hidden in shadows. He woke with sweat on his forehead, and when he looked, Lyra was sitting awake across the room, watching him silently. The storm outside had passed, but inside the small house, another storm was only beginning. Daniel knew one truth: whatever was beneath that sack was not just a scar or a secret. It was something bigger, something powerful enough to make an entire marketplace sell her for only 3 credits. And he could feel it soon. He would find out. The storm had passed, but its memory lingered in Daniel's mind. He worked through the next day in silence, fixing old machines while Lyra moved quietly around the house. She carried tools, fetched water, and placed food on the table without a word. Yet Daniel could feel something different in the air, like the storm had shaken more than the colony. When he looked at her, he noticed the way she touched the sack now. Before, she held it tight like armor. But now, her fingers moved gently along its edge, as if fighting a war inside herself. Daniel did not push. He waited, letting the silence between them grow into patience. That evening, he returned from trading scrap metal in the marketplace. The whispers had grown louder. Some claimed the girl was diseased. Others swore she was cursed, marked by her people for death. Daniel said nothing. He walked home with food, but unease followed him like a shadow. Inside the house, Lyra sat at the table. Her small hands rested still, but he saw tension in her shoulders. The room was quiet, except for the faint hiss of the lantern. Daniel placed bread and fruit down. "Eat," he said gently. She did not move. Instead, she asked, her voice trembling, "Why don't you ask what's under the sack?" Daniel froze. His heart thudded hard against his ribs. He set down his tools and looked at her. "Because you'll show me when you're ready," her head lowered. For a long time, only silence lived between them. Then, slowly, she reached for the fabric. Her fingers curled at the edge, pulling it upward just enough for light to catch a small glimpse. Daniel's breath caught. For less than a second, he saw silver skin smooth and shining under the lantern, unlike anything human. A faint glow traced across her cheek, like lines of starlight drawn into her flesh. Her eye, hidden in shadow, flickered faintly, reflecting the room's dim light. Then the sack dropped again. She turned away, her shoulders shaking. "Now you know," she whispered. "I'm not like the others. That's why they hated me. That's why they wanted to sell me." Daniel stepped closer. "I don't hate you." She shook her head. "You don't understand. My people called me a danger. They said my blood carried something forbidden. They hid me, locked me away, and when they grew tired, they sold me." Her voice cracked. 3 credits. That's all I was worth. Daniel felt anger burn inside him, not at her, but at the cruelty of those who had treated her like dirt. He crouched beside her chair. "Listen to me, Lyra. You're worth more than 3 credits. You're worth more than they will ever know." She raised her head slightly, though the sack still covered her face. Her voice was soft, uncertain. "Why are you kind to me? Everyone else looks at me and sees something broken." Daniel's answer came without thought. "Because I see someone trying to survive. And that is not broken. That is strong." The silence that followed was heavy, yet not empty. It was filled with the sound of her breathing, with the weight of unspoken truths. That night, she did not hum in the corner as usual. Instead, she lay awake, clutching the blanket, replaying his words in her mind. Strong. Worth more. Daniel lay awake too. The glimpse haunted him, not with fear, but with awe. The silver glow was unlike anything he had seen. And if such a small piece of her could hold such wonder, what else was hidden beneath that sack? As the hours passed, he realized something. The whispers of the crowd no longer mattered. Their laughter, their judgment, it was nothing compared to the truth he had seen with his own eyes. But one question refused to leave his mind. If her people feared her, if they called her dangerous, then what exactly was she capable of? The night stretched long, and Daniel knew the answer would not stay hidden forever. Soon, the sack would come off fully. And when it did, his world would change forever. The next morning arrived with a pale sun that barely touched the colony. Daniel sat outside fixing a broken motor while Lyra stayed inside, moving quietly as always. Yet Daniel could feel something different. The air between them carried a heavy weight, the kind that comes before something important. When he stepped back into the house, he found Lyra sitting at the table. She wasn't eating, wasn't working. Her hands rested on the sack, fingers curled into the fabric as if she was holding onto the last piece of her old life. Her body trembled, but her voice was steady. "Do you want to see?" she asked. Daniel froze. His breath caught in his chest. For weeks he had waited. For weeks he had respected her silence. And now she was offering it herself. He nodded once, carefully, afraid that if he spoke too fast, she would hide again. "Only if you're ready." Slowly she lifted the sack. The fabric slid upward, inch by inch, until it fell away completely. Daniel's eyes widened. He had prepared himself for scars, for deformity, for something that might explain her shame. But what he saw was nothing like that. Her skin shimmered like molten silver, alive with faint glowing lines that moved gently under the surface. Her eyes were the color of starlight, glowing faintly blue, deep and endless. Her hair was white as snow, falling in soft waves around her face. She was not broken. She was breathtaking, yet her expression was filled with fear. She waited for him to flinch, to look away in disgust, to call her cursed like the others had, but Daniel did not move. He only whispered, "Lyra." Her eyes filled with tears. "Now you see why they sold me. My kind feared me. They said my glow was a mark of danger. They said my blood carried a curse. I never asked for it. I never wanted it. But they hated me for it." Daniel reached out, his hand trembling slightly. He touched her cheek gently, and the glow under her skin pulsed softly where his fingers met. Warmth spread across his hand. "They were blind," he said. "You're not cursed. You're alive. More alive than anyone I've ever seen." For a moment, silence wrapped them both. She closed her eyes, letting a single tear roll down her silver skin. Nobody had ever spoken to her like that. Nobody had touched her without fear, but the moment did not last. Outside, Daniel heard footsteps. Loud voices, neighbors. He glanced out the window and saw shadows moving past. The whispers had grown stronger in the colony. People had noticed the girl never showed her face. Some had followed Daniel home, curious or worse. "Stay inside," Daniel said quickly. He lowered the sack back over her head, but her glowing eyes still shone faintly beneath it. The voices outside stopped near the house. Someone laughed cruelly. "The human hides her like treasure." "Maybe we should see what he's protecting," another voice added. "Or maybe we should burn it before it curses us all." Daniel's jaw tightened. He stepped outside, blocking the doorway. "Go home," he said firmly. The crowd smirked. 3 credits for a monster." "You're a fool, human." "She's not a monster," Daniel shot back. "Leave her be." But their eyes glinted with greed and fear. They would not forget what they suspected. When Daniel returned inside, Lyra sat frozen. She whispered, "They will come back." "They always come back." Daniel placed both hands on her shoulders. "Let them come. I won't let anyone take you again." Her eyes widened at his words, and for the first time, she believed him. That night, as the colony grew restless, Daniel realized something. The reveal of her face was not just a secret between the two of them anymore. The world outside was watching, waiting, and ready to strike. And he knew. Keeping Lyra safe would not be easy. It would be war. The colony felt different the next day. When Daniel walked through the marketplace, eyes followed him. Whispers crawled across the stalls like insects. "That's the human with the silver one. He hides her. He's protecting a curse." Every word pressed against Daniel's back, but he kept his head high. He bought food quickly and returned home before the crowd grew bolder. Inside, Lyra sat with her hands folded. She had not dared to remove the sack again since the night before. But Daniel could see her eyes glowing faintly through the fabric. She looked at him with fear. "They will not stop. They know something is different about me. They will come for me." Daniel placed the food on the table. "Then let them come," he said firmly. "We'll face them together." Her voice broke into a whisper. "You don't understand. If they try to take me, I cannot always control what happens." Daniel leaned forward, his tone calm but steady. "Show me." She froze. "No, Lyra," he said softly. "You're not a curse. Whatever you're hiding, I need to know. If I am to protect you, I must understand you." Her hands trembled. She lifted the sack slightly, exposing one glowing hand. The silver lines under her skin pulsed brighter, spreading across her fingers like lightning trapped inside flesh. She held the air, and for a moment, the lantern on the table flickered violently. The flame bent toward her, almost pulled by invisible strings. Then, just as quickly it went out, the room was silent. Daniel's eyes widened. "Energy," he whispered. "You can control it." Lyra pulled the sack back down. "Not control. It happens when I am afraid. Or angry. I hurt people before. That's why they called me dangerous. That's why they sold me like garbage." Daniel knelt beside her. "You are not garbage. What you showed me, yes, it's powerful, but it's not evil. You only need someone to believe in you." Her voice cracked. "And what if I hurt you?" He smiled faintly. "Then I'll get back up. Because I refuse to let fear decide who you are." That night, the knock came, loud, heavy. Daniel stood quickly, motioning for Lyra to stay silent. He opened the door to find 3 men from the colony standing there. Their eyes burned with suspicion. "We know what you're hiding," one spat. "Show us the girl." Daniel's shoulders squared. "She's not yours to see," the second man sneered. "You think you can protect a monster human? Step aside before we drag her out ourselves." Daniel's jaw tightened. He gripped the doorframe with one hand, blocking the entrance. "She's no monster. And you'll leave now." The men exchanged glances. One shoved Daniel hard, but he stood firm. A second tried to push past him. Before Daniel could react, the lantern inside flickered again. From the corner, Lyra had risen. The sack slipped halfway off, her glowing eyes blazing in the dim room. The air vibrated with unseen energy. The wooden table rattled, cups falling to the floor. The intruders froze, terror flashing across their faces. The third man stumbled back. She's cursed," he cried. Lyra gasped, clutching her hands to her chest, trying to stop it. Daniel rushed to her side, steadying her. The glow dimmed slowly until the room was quiet again. The men backed away, muttering threats. "This isn't over. The colony will not allow her to live here. You'll both pay." They disappeared into the night. Lyra collapsed into Daniel's arms, trembling. "You see?" she whispered. "I can't stop it. I'm dangerous." Daniel held her tighter. "No, Lyra, you're not dangerous. They are afraid because they don't understand. But I do. And I will never leave you." Her breath shook, but for the first time, a tiny spark of hope lit in her eyes. Yet Daniel knew the truth. The colony would not stop. The storm was rising again, and this time it would not be just whispers. It would be war at their doorstep. The colony did not wait long. By the next evening, Daniel heard voices gathering outside. Dozens of neighbors stood together, torches burning, fear written across their faces. Some carried tools as weapons, others clutched stones. They shouted, their words sharp as knives, "Bring her out. She is cursed. She will destroy us all." Inside the small house, Lyra trembled in the corner. Her hands glowed faintly under the sack, reacting to her fear. Daniel stood at the window, his jaw tight. He had expected this, but the sight of the mob still burned him with anger. He turned to Lyra. "Look at me," he said firmly. She lifted her head, silver hair spilling from beneath the sack. Her glowing eyes shook with tears. "I told you this would happen," she whispered. "They will kill us both." Daniel knelt in front of her. "Listen to me. You are not a curse. You are not their fear. You are my family now. And I will not let anyone take you." Her lips parted in shock. "Family?" "Yes," Daniel said, his voice steady. "From the moment I gave those 3 credits, you became part of my life. And I will fight for you, Lyra, even if it means standing against all of them." A tear rolled down her silver cheek. For the first time, she reached out and gripped his hand. Her glow pulsed brighter, warmer, not wild with fear but steady, almost alive. The banging on the door shook the house. Daniel rose. "Stay behind me," he said. He stepped outside, blocking the doorway as the mob surged forward. The leader, a broad man with a scar across his jaw, raised his torch. "Step aside, human. We know what she is. She will bring ruin to us all." Daniel's voice thundered back. "She is not ruin. She is life. She is more human than all of you who dare call her trash." The crowd roared in anger. Someone threw a stone, striking the wall. Another man charged forward, but before Daniel could move, the door opened behind him. Lyra stepped out. The sack fell to the ground. Gasps ripped through the crowd. Her silver skin shimmered in the torchlight, glowing lines moving like rivers of starlight. Her eyes burned with blue fire, not wild, but controlled. The mob froze, caught between fear and awe. Lyra raised her hands slowly. "I never wanted to hurt anyone," she said, her voice clear for the first time. "I wanted to live. I wanted to be seen." The torches flickered. The air vibrated. But Daniel's hand found hers, steadying her. "You are seen," he said loudly, so all could hear. "By me. And I will not let anyone take you from me." Energy surged from Lyra's body, but this time it was not chaos. It spread like light, washing over the crowd, dimming the flames of their torches without burning them. The mob staggered back, stunned. The fear in their eyes began to crumble into silence. The leader tried to shout, but his voice faltered. No weapon lifted against her now. The crowd broke apart, fear giving way to confusion. One by one, they retreated into the night, leaving the human and the alien girl standing alone under the stars. Silence fell. The colony's threat was gone for now. Daniel turned to Lyra. She stood trembling, her glow fading slowly, tears sliding down her cheeks. I didn't lose control," she whispered in disbelief. Daniel smiled softly. "Because you weren't alone this time." She looked at him, her eyes shining brighter than the sky above. Why risk everything for me?" Daniel's answer came without hesitation. "Because I didn't just buy a girl in a sack. I found someone worth more than the whole galaxy. I found my family." Her tears turned to quiet laughter. For the first time, she smiled. That night, Daniel placed a ring in her hand, simple and plain but filled with meaning. "Marry me," he said. "Let us build a life together. No more hiding. No more fear." Lyra's silver fingers closed around the ring. Her glow warmed brighter, softer, like a heartbeat. "Yes," she whispered. And so in the quiet after the storm, a lonely human and a rejected alien girl found what neither the marketplace nor the colony had ever offered them. They found home. They found family. And together, they built it with love stronger than fear.